Howdy there, folks. How are y'all doing? My name is Reese, and welcome back to the series where I very slowly put glowstone into platforms while I discuss nostalgic things or video game journalism or, the lack thereof. It's just, random topics, whatever comes to mind. There was a time when I was recording these videos and I was a bit more irritable, and I was going on these rants and raving. And in the last few videos, I've been in more of sort of a relaxed state, where I'm like, isn't nostalgia a beautiful thing? Isn't it wonderful to be excited about things? And I gotta tell you, there's something that is nostalgic that I am not excited about, even though I already have tickets to go see it. And that is Star Wars Episode 9, Skywalker's on the Rise. Smoke in the water, Skywalker in the sky. Not excited about this movie. Not excited. I remember Episode 8 was about to come out. I remember the day of. I'm sorry if you can hear me just crazily clicking away on the mouse, by the way. But I remember being at work, about to, get off and go home and go watch this new Star Wars with my good friend Jenna and her younger brother. And my brother had his first day at his new job, so he couldn't go with us. Wow, that was 2 years ago now. That is insane. But I remember it was the lead up to The Last Jedi, and I really liked, and I'll stand by this, I thought The Force Awakens was pretty good movie, and I thought that Rogue One was a pretty awful movie, but really good for Star Wars fans, because it ticked all those Star Wars nostalgia boxes. And I was really excited by the trailers for The Last Jedi, and I was like, I'm so excited. But I remember standing there at work, and I just had this moment where I was like, I'm really excited about this, but what if it's bad? That's gonna suck. It's gonna be awful. But I was like, it won't be. And then, honestly, from the second the movie started, I was just like, oh no. It starts with, the Poe, and he's flying up into space, and he's doing your mom bit on the phone with Hux. And there's a bit where all these sparks are flying, and BB-8's head sticks out of his body and plugs into some sparks. And I'm like, oh no. But I'll give it some time. I'll give, we'll see what happens. We get to Rey. She's handing Luke the lightsaber. I'm like, oh, cool. We're picking up right here. Because in my head, I was like, I wonder if, we're going to start up and she's already being trained or whatever. And she hands the lightsaber to Luke, and Luke threw it over his shoulder. And I was like, that's what I want to do with this movie. That is where we're at right now. And then the rest of the movie progressed, and there were some bits in it that I liked. I liked Yoda because I like Yoda. And I liked the fight with the Praetorians, because it was cool watching something interesting happen on screen. And I liked Hux driving through. I actually didn't take issue with that. A lot of people were like, if Hux can drive the Mon Calamari cruiser through a Star Destroyer, why didn't they just fly an X-Wing through the Death Star? Look, I hate The Last Jedi as much as you do, but that is a stupid argument, and we're not going to derail my conversation about why I dislike The Last Jedi. We're going to come back to it, don't you worry, to tell you why you're an idiot for saying that. Think about the Death Star is the size of a small moon. That's no moon, it's a space station. And the X-Wing is the size of your basic fighter jet. Okay? It's not going to smash into that. No, that's dumb. It's not going to do anything. It's got big old shields, and it's a massive space station. It's a tiny ship. Meanwhile, the ship that Hux had is, I keep saying Hux, it's Holdo. Admiral Holdo. Admiral Holdover from a bad script that they should have rewritten. I remember they were bragging about how they were going into this movie with the first draft. They're like, it was so good, we don't need to rewrite it. You should have rewritten it. You should have rewritten this hot garbage, frickin' Rian Johnson, you hack. So it's a massive Mon Calamari cruiser. This was the biggest ship in the Resistance fleet, smashing into not a small moon, just a really big Star Destroyer. So let's not pretend like these things are even remotely comparable, okay? Because we know that they're not. With that out of the way. And also it didn't completely destroy the cruiser. I want to throw that out. The Star Destroyer. The Star Destroyer was still, it didn't have an air leak or anything. It was still flying and functional at the end of the film. Maybe not in full tip-top shape. It was cut in two, but it was mostly intact. So that wasn't an issue. That happened, and I thought that was a pretty cool scene. We're going to go back into why I hate the movie. I thought that there was a continuity error when Luke shows up on the planet and he's got a blue lightsaber because it just got ripped in two. But then I figured out what they were doing, and I was like, fine. And then Luke died, and I was like, why? And then Leia flew through space earlier in the movie, and that looked real dumb. And then I was like, they could have just rewritten this since Carrie Fisher passed away. They could have just had her die there. And there's literally just reshoot the scenes afterward that she's in. You could very easily tweak them to where she doesn't need to be there. And you can change the fact that Akbar dies because that Akbar died dumbly. It was really dumb that Akbar is dead. Just like a lot of the decisions made in the movie. It's real dumb. And I hated it. I hated the movie. And I remember walking out of the movie with my friends, Jenna and Brenton. And Jenna swears up and down that she does not think this. She hates the movie. But I distinctly remember her being like, yeah, I thought that was pretty good, wasn't it? And I just like was staring blankly at her. With just, I had no words. I was just like, no, I don't think that it was. And then the rest of the ride home, I just complained about it. And I feel bad for it now, looking back in retrospect, because I was just complaining about it. But you know what I actually felt, like initially coming out of that movie theater? I remember going to see The Hobbit with my brother, and we both loved Lord of the Rings. We got midnight tickets. It might not have been midnight. It might have been like 7 o'clock tickets. I don't remember. It must have been because my mom was still awake when we got home. But we got tickets to go see The Hobbit on Thursday, before release day, technically. And we go in, and I'm so excited to go back to Middle-earth. I love the Hobbit book. Of the Hobbit, the Silmarillion, the Lord of the Rings, all of those, the Hobbit is my favorite. It's just like a lighthearted, fun romp through Middle-earth where a lot of people die. It's not that lighthearted, but I remember going in and watching the movie and coming home, and, Monica goes off to bed, and Mom was like, I was still living with my parents at the time, or yeah, I must have been. My mom says, hey, did you like it? And I remember looking at her, and I felt so conflicted because I knew I wanted to like it. I wanted to like it so, so badly, but it was so, so bad. I was like, I don't know. I don't think that I did. And I just left it at that, and I went to bed, and I was so sad. And then I went into the second movie, and I thought it was pretty good because I had really low expectations. I was like, it was better than the mess I assumed it would be. And then the third movie was just awful. And that's the Hobbit trilogy, though. We're not talking about the Hobbit. We're talking about Star Wars. And talking about Star Wars, that film. Heaven help me, that film. So I wanted to like it because it was Star Wars, and I was like, well, this is what Star Wars is. Disney has Star Wars now. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I went in with my own expectations. Maybe that's what's wrong here. Maybe I should have gone in with no expectations, and maybe then I would have liked it. So, like I said, my brother couldn't go see it because he was working. So I went to go see it with him. I think that's Saturday. So immediately afterward, we went to go see it. A couple days have passed, and I'm like, okay, there's a couple parts in this movie I like. Okay, there's this, I like this bit. Admiral holdover from a bad script. Drives a spaceship into another one, and it looks really cool, and it gets real quiet, and everyone in the audience who's talking suddenly gets quiet because they realize how loud and annoying they're being, and they realize that someone should walk up and sock them over the back of the head for being a distraction to the rest of the audience, but no one does. Thank goodness for them. And I'm like, yeah, okay, see, these are good bits. I think if you just focus on these bits are good. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. I like the movie. I do, because I like these bits. And I took my nieces to see it because I always take my niece to go see the Star Wars movies. Ever since the Force Awakens came out, she dressed up. She had like the Leia buns and a Star Wars shirt, and we took like fun pictures, and we had a blast. And I always take her to see the Star Wars movies now, usually around Christmas. So we were in Florida in Disney World, and we went to, Disney Springs? It's downtown Disney. It didn't need to be renamed. But we went over there, and they have a theater there. We went to go see it. I took not just her, but like all of my nieces and my brother again. And they really liked it, but they're dumb kids. So what do they know? But the movie ended, and I was like, it's pretty good, isn't it? It's pretty good. Yeah, I like these. These bits are good. And then I remember the movie came out on Blu-ray, and I went out and bought it. That's one of my greatest shames, is that I own The Last Jedi, and I hate myself. I went out and I bought it, and I sat down to watch it at home. And the movie is going, and I'm watching it. And I'm starting to come to the realization that I've convinced myself that I like a turd. And I realize that I don't like this movie. This is a bad bad movie, and I hate it. I hate it so much with a passion, and I hate myself for pretending to like it and trying to like it. And I turned the movie off, and I remember calling Jenna, and I was like, The Last Jedi is a really bad movie. And she goes, yep, it is. And I was just like, yeah, that's really sad. She's like, yeah, it is. And that is the story of how I realized that The Last Jedi is a piece of garbage. Wasn't happy about it either. Was not happy about it. I can't say that I'd convinced myself I loved the movie, but I convinced myself that there was enough scenes in it that I liked, that it wasn't all bad. But it was all bad. All of it was garbage. And I remember going into Han Solo, like Kathleen Kennedy, in her infinite wisdom, fired two of the best directors working in Hollywood. The geniuses who brought us the Lego Movie. The Lego Movie, guys. The Jump Street films. Lord Miller. He's like, I don't like what you're doing with your Star Wars. Last second, I'm going to fire you because I'm in charge and I can do that. And we all question, why are you in charge again? I was, she's worked in Hollywood a long time. She worked on the Jurassic... No, she was a producer in the Jurassic Park movie. All right, let's not pretend like she made it, okay? Film legend. Freaking legendary director made that film, all right? She got his coffee. She wasn't involved. Don't say that Steven Spielberg's success was dependent on Kathleen, dumber than a box of rocks, Kennedy. We're going there. She's incompetent. She shouldn't be in charge of Lucasfilm. She keeps firing these directors. And I'm like, okay, well, they hired Opie to finish it. I like Opie. You know, Andy Griffith Show was great. Let's see what they do. And they made just a mediocre... It wasn't the worst thing I can say about that movie is that it and this is probably the most scathing thing you can say about it, is that it didn't suck. It was just bland and boring and uninteresting, right? Like, I didn't care about it at all. I didn't care about the characters. I didn't care about anything happening in it. It just wasn't good or entertaining. And, oh, that's how I handled this up here, right? We didn't have windows on the sides. We're going to do windows on the sides on the third floor? I guess we better, yeah. Anyway, so Han Solo came out, and I can't say it was a disappointment because I didn't have a lot of expectations. It was just bland and boring and uninteresting. Mostly unoffensive. I don't know. No, you know what? No. Han Solo. Worst moment in a Star Wars movie. I would rather watch Jar Jar Binks scrape poop off the bottom of his shoe on a loop for 10 hours than suffer through that mediocrity ever again. I hate it. I hate it, and I hate Opie now, and I hate the Andrew Griffith Show now, and I hate Kathleen Kennedy now, and I hate freaking George Lucas for selling... Anyway, so the only good things to come out of Disney Star Wars... Again, you know how I feel about the first two movies. I'm okay with those. Rebels is good. I like Rebels. You know, there were some cheesy bits, but it's a kid's show. I have not, and I refuse to watch Resistance because I just don't care about the sequel trilogy at all in any meaningful way. I'm looking forward to Dave Filoni. He's got some new Clone Wars stuff coming out. I'm looking forward to that. I reckon that'll be good because it's Dave Filoni, and he knows what he's doing. And I reckon that the Mandalorian's going to be good. I liked the trailer for that. And there's a couple of things that give me hope for that. First off, there's a Clone Wars flashback. I don't know if you folks saw this, but there's a bit where it's very clearly a flashback to the Clone Wars because there's like droids walking around and I'm like, hey, that's good Star Wars. So I'm interested. I'm interested in that. And something else that I noticed in that is that in the Star Wars Episode 9 trailer, there's a battle droid in the background. Like, it's powered off, but it's there. And I'm like, oh, that thing turns on and says some words. I'm going to be so happy. I'm going to be so pleased. That's all I want out of this movie. I'm trying to decide whether or not we're going to let this be all windows or if we're going to trim it down and have them be 3x3 like these down here. But I like having these be taller. This might be like the executive rooms up top. So we might do that. Something we do need to do is this as well. Have this be extended across. Excuse me. Pardon me. I do apologize. I guess we'll do these double. Oh, look at that. We're out of time for today. Well, I guess I'll leave you on this thought. Star Wars is bad now. Star Wars has been bad for a while, but I have faith and I have hope that Episode 9 will have a functioning battle droid in it, and then all will be forgiven, because at least that'll remind me of better movies. Yeah, you heard me. The prequels are better movies. Don't tell me they're not. You know that they are. You know that they are. It's true. Search your feelings. You know it to be true. They're more interesting movies, at least. And then I have hope that The Mandalorian will be good. Is The Mandalorian out now? It comes out on the 12th. Of course, I'm recording this on the day it'll be released. Wait a minute. Let me think about this. So, it's been out for 2 days? 3 days. I don't know. I'll give you a review of it at some point in the distant future. We'll talk about that show. You know, we'll get around to it. Until then, actually, I guess the logs need to go all the way in, don't they? All the way up to these corners. What's on the inside of here, though? Like, is that going to look weird from the inside? Oh, Shrek. What have I done? I've worked myself into a design corner disaster, because it looks like this should go all the way back. Right? But what's that going to look like from the inside? We'll have to go to the inside and have a look. It might be okay. It might actually look just fine. We can't end the episode until we find out. In closing thoughts, what do you think about The Mandalorian since it's out now and we've all watched it? What did you think about it, and what do you hope for episode 9? You know, let me know. I like that. That looks good. Bye.